The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
Family of a 7th grader front and center at the Texas House of Representatives when a landmark bill made it through yesterday. It's what some call the state's first marijuana legalization law, but others just call it an act of mercy for those who suffer from seizures. For Conrad Tullis's family, Senate Bill 339 is a game changer. He is 12 years old, and since a near-drowning accident as a toddler, he's been in a wheelchair.
And there were tears. I mean, it was so emotional.
She's talking about the cannabis oil bill passing the House floor on its 3rd reading. The bill would allow doctor-prescribed oil derived from the marijuana plant for use in treating intractable epilepsy. It's controversial because of the word marijuana, but this stuff is different because instead of creating a high, it heals.
It's a very complex issue where we're talking about a non-euphoric, we're talking about a medicine that helps with seizures, in our children.
Every single day here at Alamo Heights Junior School, Conrad's seizures are noted, and there are a lot of them. They're hoping, though, with this medication, there won't be any. If it works, that means the advances he's making in his therapy won't be interrupted by a seizure.
Whether he's in class, whether he's in play, it just stops, all the activity. And we've tried 10 different pharmaceuticals, and none of them help, and some of them even had, really bad side effects.
The only question that remains is, will Conrad be able to be prescribed the drug in Texas? The bill still awaits the governor's signature.
We wanted to stay in Texas, and we had a lot of skeptics telling us, it's never going to happen. It's also a sense of kind of being proud of being in Texas.
Now, some do worry that the language in this bill will provide trouble for doctors who may want to begin prescribing cannabis oils. But even many of those who voted against this bill because of issues like that, as well as some enforcement issues, say that these families should not be denied this medical necessity.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Well, I hope you had a fantastic holiday weekend. I can tell you getting a stretch around the local park, walking out in the sunshine, and enjoying the wonderful spring weather while it's here did me a lot of good. I hope it did you too. The barbecue, did you get a chance to sit around the fire, make some s'mores yet? Do any of that? I hope so. Look, I've been talking about this cannabis and kids things for a long time. Because when you say those two words together, oh gosh. I mean, the hair on the back of people's necks stands up. It stands to attention. You just said cannabis and kids. Yes, I did. Why the big, yeah. Well, of course, it goes back to the drug thing. It goes back to the drug abuse thing. It goes back to the whole prohibition thing. Well, we're not talking about that now. That's not what we're talking about. When we're talking about this cannabis and kids issue on this particular program, and maybe you should, take the blinders off of your ears. I'm mixing metaphors here. And listen for what the subject is rather than just put the prejudice right in place. Take the wall down for a second and take the information in before you start saying what you feel about it, because you don't even know what the subject is yet. At the front of the show here, we played this piece from Channel 12, which is out, I believe. I don't know, is that in Houston? I don't know. They're in Texas somewhere. I'm going to have to look them up now because I don't want to not give them credit for that news piece. But what's amazing is that the Texas legislature, as conservative as it is, has managed to pass some medical marijuana bill. And it's now awaiting the governor's signature. I mean, this is big news. It's been done in other places, not in any place quite like Texas here till now. And so, the problem is the seizure disorder. epilepsy. The brain is a crazy machine. And sometimes, there's a malfunction. And, this whole epilepsy thing, doctors have been studying it for a very long time. But one thing is for sure in this study. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, there's not much they can do but prescribe you these heavy narcotics. These medications that are designed to calm the brain down by sedating it. What's happening in these seizures is all these electrical connected sparks are going off simultaneously. A bunch of them all at the same time. It's like trying to listen to your entire computer's memory in just a few seconds. It's just all going off. You can't consume it all. This activity, when it happens, results in a seizure, and to varying degrees depending on, that activity. When they give these people these narcotics, sometimes they work for people, and sometimes they don't. And looking at this in a broader scope, when you start talking about cannabis oil and kids, we're talking about something that has been refined that doesn't have very much THC in it at all. In fact, it's nearly negligible. As they mentioned in the news piece, it's a non-euphoric medication. I don't know why this is a subject being brought up at all anyways. This is really more to comfort some preconceived notion of parents' minds with this drug prohibition war attached to it than it is about treating their child. Because I'll just draw another point to you. If your kid's going through, let's say your kid's on the table and he's going to die in just a while. He's just got a little bit of time left. And I'm just making an example. If your child is in a tremendous amount of pain, or any family member for that matter, it doesn't have to be a child. If they're suffering tremendously and you're giving them medication, it's to ease their it's to provide a level of comfort in their last time here. You don't really much care about whether or not they're getting high. And I would suggest that the same condition exists when you have a child affected so horribly by something like a seizure disorder. And I'm not talking about a seizure that happens every once in a while. Some people, that's like that. In this Dravet syndrome and other conditions, although it's a rare condition, it affects a lot of people. And it happens from birth. This isn't something that you grow into. So as a young child, these kids are having, as infants, these kids are having seizures. And they're constant. They keep going on, and they go 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 on. And parents feel helpless because the doctors are not giving them anything that isn't making them, okay, sometimes they're not having that. Maybe they're having a few fewer seizures, but they're still constant. They're still, mainstream. They're still the majority of the day. But when they're not having the seizures, they're heavily sedated. I mean, they're comatose. They're not functioning. They're slumped over. I would suggest that if this is a condition that one of your children were in, if you had children, this isn't something you would let persist without continuing to seek an answer. And for many parents, that answer has been cannabis oil. And so, again, I would say that if you've got a kid in this condition, it's much like the kid on the deathbed. I don't think you're so concerned. Look, the doctors weren't concerned about the kid being so heavily sedated. I mean, this is a narcotic medication, or medications, as the case may be. Nobody objected when they tried to stop those seizures with this heavy narcotic or a set of narcotics as to whether or not the kid was going to be stoned or in some way have this high feeling. Because it's beyond that. I mean, it's putting them out. They're getting that probably for a few minutes and then it's gone. So aside from that, the medication we're talking about here in this cannabis oil is a non-euphoric medication nonetheless. I would say it wouldn't matter if you're giving this, to somebody and it's preventing these horrible things from happening to them routinely, constantly, persistently. And they can now interact with life again. They can now say mom or dad. or they can ask for something, or they can show pleasure when they get something. I mean, these are important, huge steps. And it gives them an ability to grow. It gives them an ability to learn because they've got an environment in which they can do it. So, think places like Texas, Virginia, New Jersey, at some point before recently, New York, offering these very limited views on, Kentucky, I think, on cannabis oil. For kids, especially, we're just talking about medical marijuana. They've seen the light. They've seen these stories. They understand this. But the bigger problem, bigger than all of the stuff that I just mentioned, is that once these places get these, these states get these, issues, figured out and enact some law about it, the law is very lacking because, Florida's had this law in place for some time now. I don't think there are any children there receiving medication grown there in Florida. So how are they getting this medication? How are they getting this extract made from the cannabis plant? It's not coming from producers in Florida. And there are issues, aren't there? Is CBD a DEA-controlled drug? I think the answer to that question technically is yes. Is there allowance for it to go across state lines? That's a question we can ask. Are parents getting this? I think there are a lot of them that are not. And so today we want to talk about this organization called The Realm of Caring. You can find them, I believe, is it therock.org? I think it's the ROC.org. The Realm of Caring is an organization that's designed to counsel and help parents. Primarily it ends up being parents. But I imagine they would counsel anyone over these, horrible epileptic conditions that cause these seizures, these seizure disorders. Let's just, put it in that basket. Now, these seizure disorders, are a difficult thing to address on their own. But when you're talking about trying to help with the condition, and there seems to be no answer in your state, it's an organization like The Realm of Caring that you can reach out to. It's the only one that's dealing with this on a national level. And so our guest this hour is going to be Heather Jackson. Heather is the CEO of The Realm of Caring, and she can explain to you better than perhaps I on what her organization is and what it does and exactly how it's helping kids. We'll be right back.
You're getting the full melt.
It's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
They're parasites. They've got no contribution to this society. They're preying on our community and our kids. And it's going to end badly.
We've got exactly $100,000 in cash in the back of this car. I bet there's guys right there in that prison for doing just what we're about to do.
I want the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to be a household name.
This is us pioneering a new industry.
He's going after every resort town in Colorado. His plan is brilliant.
Watch out for her.
this is a big boy operation now.
We are not the Amsterdam of the Rockies. We're Breckenridge.
Absolutely unbelievable to us that this has happened so quickly.
That's when the town erupted.
All hell can break loose.
I think we have an image to protect.
The powerful elite has definitely put the pressure on.
Everyone is playing everyone.
They're going to have a target painted on their back.
That is a real threat.
There's $2 billion to be had next year. I plan to take more than my fair share.
High Profits, Sunday night at 10 Eastern on CNN.
Does your dog or cat suffer with joint disorders, arthritis, anxiety, cancer, chronic pain, or other ailments? Hemp or cannabis-based medicinal products are now legal. Why should your pets go without the same options that we have available? Try Sativus, a daily hemp oil with CBD. Sativus is quality inspected and made in the USA. Easy-to-use drops are applied directly to your pet's food. For your pet's wellness, try Sativus drops. Ask for Sativus at your local pet store or learn more at petpain.com.
With this warmer weather, I get more active. Headaches and pains keep me from doing things I enjoy, like golfing and working outside my yard. Toledo Hemp Center's new location, 1415 Sylvania Avenue, has shown me there is an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. I use CBD, cannabidiol, infused hemp lotions, oral sprays, and topical oils. Thank you, Toledo Hemp Center, for helping me restore and maintain my health with no side effects and no high. Find out more at ToledoHempCenter.com.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
In an emergency, I'll just dial 918. But the wonderful thing is you kids get along. And we were able to have a third beautiful child. Wait, but how did you have an extra room for Maggie? Well, that's where I used to grow my weed.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. So today we're talking about medical marijuana and kids, and some of these states that have provided for children to receive marijuana, and really many of these states only have programs that allow for cannabis to be used for kids who have these intractable epilepsy disorders. And the big question is, once a state passes a law like this, where's the medicine coming from? Because that is a big problem. And so the Realm of Caring's Heather Jackson has joined us on the phone today to talk about that issue and how their organization deals with it. Welcome to the program, Heather.
Thanks, Steve.
So can you give us the bigger picture here? Because I tried to sum it up, but maybe you can do it better for me.
In regards to when states are passing any sort of legislation, there's a period of rules and regulations that needs to be set up. So what happened was just sort of the 14th state last week now sits on the governor's desk. That was Texas. And, it takes a while to put the rules and regulations in place. So there's sort of been a trend, obviously, created, and then 14 plus 3 full medical states, Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. And so they're in process of getting things set up. And every state looks very different in their regulations. So it just depends on, what the state allowed.
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, are there any states where these seizure disorders are being effectively arrested, treated by cannabis oil?
Yeah, I mean, we have over 3,000 people that we're following that are using a product called Charlotte's Web. And that's, all over the United States.
Now, are they getting this everywhere? Are they getting this in all states? Are there still, I guess, there are a lot of parents, say, in Florida, for example, where they've had this law in place for what, better than a year now, yes?
No, they're actually in the rules and regulations phase right now in Florida.
So they're still creating the rules about this?
Yep. Yeah, their health department is actually getting that set up now. There's been several people to object, and so they have to wait and solve that issue, and then they can move forward. So my understanding
the fact that there aren't any rules and regulations in place.
Yeah, I mean, right now you would have to make a personal decision on what your family would like to do.
What are parents doing? Because I know any parent, it would seem like any parent would want to do everything they can for their child. So they're going to reach out and find any answer that's available. What are they generally doing?
I mean, it really varies. Some family members are traveling to get it, which of course would put them at risk. Some are, having friends or family get it and send it to them. So I think it probably varies quite a bit.
But this is a big problem, though, isn't it? In the bigger picture, it's a large problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's really why there's federal legislation at this point, so that it can, alleviate this issue with so many different rules and regulations, dealing with, antiquated, outdated laws, even conflict within the federal regulations, for example. So I think the big answer is to continue to, go state by state as states will allow, but I think the federal piece is really what needs to happen. So HR 1635, and the Senate side, it's called number 1333, the Medical Hemp Access Act. Well, that's one bill on the House and the Senate side. That would be helpful. The CARES Act has a piece in it as well that will be helpful. So I think the federal legislation really needs to move forward.
Is there a big press to get that done? Does it look like it could happen?
I think that, anything's possible. The one I'm most familiar with, the Therapeutic Hemp Act, is looking really good. I mean, there are, I believe at this point, 34 co-sponsors on the House side, and it opened with 6 on the Senate side, which is really unheard of. One of the authors of the bill on the Senate side was Orrin Hatch, who is the father of the DSHEA Act, which is the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. So that's really a positive thing.
Yeah, because Orrin Hatch is one of the most conservative legislators from one of the most conservative states, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so that's the sort of interesting piece to this. And it just kind of shows you that I think most anybody can really, when you tell them what this is, they can totally understand it, and want to get behind it, and hopefully want to, create a heroic act on behalf of the families that need it. So I think that is obviously one of the final solutions that we need, but I don't think it's a bad thing for states to continue on their path, because it really is, of course, a states' rights issue, and so that should still happen. But I think federally, we can say with 23 states already functioning plus D.C., then 14, right around the corner, 14, states that do limit the THC percentage, and an additional, we've put almost, so that would be 17 states in about 13 months on the books. That's a big message to the federal government that your people are speaking here, and it's time for you to respond.
Well, and it puts a lot of pressure on the legislators of those states to, in fact, carry the message forward from the state to the federal government, too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and that's why, any state that has passed any sort of cannabis legislation whatsoever should sign up as a co-sponsor on these federal bills. So really what people need to be doing is reaching out to their representatives and reaching out to their senators and telling them, I mean, that's what they want to hear from their constituents, and we can't be silent on the matter. We have I believe, a very unique opportunity, especially before we get into this whole new election season over the next couple of months, to really make an impression, with our legislators. I think we have to.
Is this the time to do it? I mean, this is when the legislators are going on their summer breaks and stuff. They're having their coffee hours. They're visiting with their constituents. So this would be the time to talk to them.
I think it's good. And there's maybe if you have a website, I can send you a link that you can post for your listeners later of how they can get in touch and set up a meeting, with their representative or with their senator. I think it's always worth a shot. And I think, August things will really shut down. So I think we have until then, really, until that. To me, it's like August 1st is kind of that, drop date for me. And then we're going to move into election season and all of that, and that's not going to be great.
Why don't you go ahead if you've got? Do you have the website available? Is it a long link? Is it a strange?
It's a long link.
Okay. Yeah. What I'll do is after I get off the air here, I'll keep in touch with you and get that information from you, and I'll make it as part of the show notes so that it's linkable.
That would be great.
Linkable from the show notes. So when the program goes into syndication on iTunes and in other places, it'll be linkable right from the notes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be really helpful for people to set up meetings. But in the meantime, they can call, they can go to the Coalition for AccessNow.org and take action. They have a take action link that would send a letter. So there's lots of ways to talk with your representatives. And when I've talked with them, that is what they want to hear. It's fine for me from Colorado to go say, hey, this is what we're seeing. But for them to hear from someone in their district is really important to them. I think that we definitely need to do that.
It seems like the legislators might think that your view is tainted because you're from Colorado.
Or that I am emotional about it because of this story with my son, and so I'm, biased, therefore biased. I'm a parent. My son is now in remission. He's on no pharmaceuticals whatsoever. He was receiving hospice, and now he's healthy. And so I'm very passionate about this. And, they may think it's just this one-off, this one-off story that it worked for. And so they need to hear the need and the desperation from the families that are in their districts, for sure.
Are all children that are receiving this, from your experience, or that are receiving this as a therapy, receiving a similar benefit? I mean, does it seem to have the same benefit, or does it vary between people? No, it's definitely varied. I would say my son is a part of a smaller population that, I refer to them as super responders for whatever reason, whether it's correcting by mechanism of action, an underlying issue, or for whatever reason. It seems to be a very small percent, around 10, maybe even less. Like, we haven't gone into double-blind placebo-controlled trials, which is really the only, it's not the only, but it is definitely the gold standard, and we haven't gotten that far yet. We operate by an IRB-approved observational registry where people are putting in their information, and so we see about 10% that this just really helps for, greater than 90% seizure reduction. And, other than that, it's sort of a varied response, just like with anything. Sure. Some will respond, and some won't. Well, I think that's an important question to ask, because I think that it's one that's not being asked right now. This might be viewed by some people, and erroneously. I don't want that to be a false impression that it's a cure-all, or that this is something that is going to be the answer. Because it depends on your condition, it depends on the situation, and it's something you would have to end up having to try to find out where you'd fall in that spectrum. Am I correct in Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what we might be able to agree on is the safety profile of the plant itself, and to say, let's take a look at the benefits and risks of starting this, and let's just make an individual decision for this person, either for yourself or for your loved one, your child. And, you go from there. And this population, especially, as you're probably aware, I mean, they've recycled through so many pharmaceutical options already that when I look at how really safe this is, this to me was an absolute no-brainer. After as many pharmaceuticals as we've been through, I thought this is definitely going to provide some palliative care for my son. And if we get some seizure control, then great. I really wasn't betting on it. So I come from a very, skeptical standpoint. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely folks that it's working for. There's definitely folks that it's not working for. And I think that just like with anything, you've got to just give it a shot. Say in the couple of minutes remaining in this segment, if you'd like, I'd like you to stay after the break. Okay. If you've got some time. But I wanted to ask you about what got you into this? Because I don't know that people know the story. I only know part of it myself. Fill us in. What got you started in this? Obviously, there's a personal connection. And then from the personal connection, was that the bridge to the place that you're at now with this nonprofit organization? Yeah, definitely. So my son has a rare form of epilepsy called Doza syndrome. He had been through 17 pharmaceuticals. He was 9.5 years old. He was incontinent. He didn't know his colors, very developmentally delayed. He dealt with pretty much daily seizures his entire life, and we were receiving hospice
palliative services. And our hospice counselor was brave enough to mention this as an option. She had another family that it was working for, and she kind of broke the rules. And she said, here's a list of phone numbers if it's something that you're interested in. And I had been researching it, and this sort of connected the circle for me. So we started in July of 2012. My son had 48 hours of no seizures, which was absolutely incredible for him at that time, because he was having seizures every 2 to 10 minutes while he slept, and a fair amount during the day. And the seizures did come back, and we titrated up slowly, and it took us about 3 months. And his last seizure was October 3rd of 2012. And so it just literally put his condition into remission. So it's almost like this unwritten code amongst parents who are dealing with catastrophic epilepsy. It doesn't matter what it is. If it works, you have an obligation to open your mouth and, tell people, scream it from the mountaintops. This is what's working for me. And so several of us did that. And the number of inquiries was just overwhelming between text messaging and Facebook. And it's like, you know what, we're going to need a formal system to really educate these families. And so that's how the Realm of Caring came about. And so, the 501c3 piece, we are conducting research. We also educate and advocate for cannabinoid therapy. It is a misconception that we're CBD only. That's absolutely not the case. We serve a lot of families in Colorado and California where we can with higher THC products, THCA products. So we're following about 3,000 right now, and they're engaged in an observational research registry. And then we just provide continuing support and do, support groups as well as orientations, things like that, to just make sure people are staying connected.
Awesome. So listen, we're coming up on the break now. The music's kicking up as we speak. When we come back, I wanted to maybe explore the beginnings of this. How did people figure out that cannabis oil was helpful with these disorders? And popularly, where did this kick off? It seems like there was a big spark at some point. And so I wanted to bring into that subject the news of the day. How did that happen popularly? We'll come back with that in just a moment on The Full Melt Show. Stand by.
You're getting The Full Melt.
It started with Weed 1.
Some have called it a watershed moment.
Then came Weed 2.
It's absurd that we would have to do this to get medicine.
Now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is at it again, and he's reaching higher than ever with Weed 3.
I never thought I would be smoking weed in the hospital.
The movement behind it.
We demand this plant go through the process of the FDA.
The radical research.
I have to say I'm kind of stunned.
Weed 3, the marijuana revolution.
Each week, Pot Pitch takes a look at different medical or legal pot business as they attempt to seek investment capital and partners in order to take their business to the next level. What do investors like?
And which entrepreneurs are shown the door?
Real venture capitalists, smart entrepreneurs, and exciting business models in a brand new industry. Cannabis. Pot Pitch. Find out what this new marijuana industry will look like and who its players will be. Real deals, real people, real decisions. Pot Pitch at potpitch.com and featured on the Full Melt Radio Show.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Does your dog or cat suffer with joint disorders, arthritis, anxiety, cancer, chronic pain, or other ailments? Hemp or cannabis-based medicinal products are now legal. Why should your pets go without the same options that we have available? Try Sativus, a daily hemp oil with CBD. Sativus is quality inspected and made in the USA. Easy-to-use drops are applied directly to your pet's food. For your pet's wellness, try Sativus drops. Ask for Sativus at your local pet store or learn more at petpain.com.
With this warmer weather, I get more active. Headaches and pains keep me from doing things I enjoy, like golfing and working outside my yard. Toledo Hemp Center's new location, 1415 Sylvania Avenue, has shown me there is an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. I use CBD, cannabidiol, infused hemp lotions, oral sprays, and topical oils. Thank you, Toledo Hemp Center, for helping me restore more and maintain my health with no side effects and no high. Find out more at ToledoHempCenter.com.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and you're listening to the Full Melt Show.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. You can find us here every Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Time on thefullmelt.com. You can also find us on Facebook and at Twitter. Please follow and like us there. Go to iTunes. If you if you don't have a chance to listen live all the time, there is a place where you can look us up on iTunes, look up The Full Melt, and subscribe to our program there. Also want to give a shout-out to our new friends at Two Guys Grow Shop out in the Flint area, in Flint, Michigan. I got to say hi to Jeremy and the guys out there. Nice relationship they've built with the community. So our guest this hour is Heather Jackson. Heather is in Colorado. Heather is the CEO of the Realm of Caring. Did I say that right, Heather?
Yeah, I'm the executive director, but that's fine.
Okay, I've got you down as CEO. I don't know if I saw that on your website. I don't know. Executive director, then I stand corrected. So, there seems to be a point at which this took off like wildfire.
Right.
Wasn't that, a lot of people connect it to the Sanjay Gupta story, which I think was the second spread of the fire. This started really with American Weed and the Stanley Brothers, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people heard about it a lot of different ways. I think that the epilepsy community, there was a small group of us sort of in the beginning who were using this and started talking about it. They definitely, the families had a show on Nat Geo. I don't think it talked very much. That might have been pre, CBD for epilepsy. So
I think there was one episode, and I remember it, because it had a major impact. Because Josh was talking about the fact that they were making this in hopes that it would help somebody's child.
Right.
And that he brought it out there, and they were very careful about testing in advance and putting that toe into that water.
They were really nervous. I mean, we were the second success story after Charlotte, and they were really nervous, and I thought it was a good sign of where they were coming from in their heart, was they were, these were kids, and they wanted to make sure that they were really doing this right. And then, then families began to set that standard, that this has to be as close to the same as it, I mean, it's a plant and it varies, but our kids need it to be very close to the same. We need to know the exact milligrams. You have to test. We have to know it's, mold, pesticides, residual solvents, mycotoxins, metals, you name it. We need to know that it's safe. And so, that it was just of several brave parents, and I just sort of consider myself blessed to have come along with a few other folks and be able to talk about it. So
you have to have seen a lot of amazing success stories just with your own eyes and
totally.
ears.
Yeah, totally.
That has to drive you, doesn't it?
Definitely. I mean, it's one of those things where I have seen it with my own eyes over and over and over again. So I am not skeptical like I used to be. Like I've seen it. I have seen kids who were just, you just weren't quite sure how much more their little brain could take, and their families just felt that desperation, and this came along and helped and aided in sometimes seizure control, sometimes other symptom relief. I remember a little boy, Ezra, who was completely contorted backwards and was just in an extreme amount of pain, and it was a special blend that worked for him. And so I've just seen this over and over again, and there's definitely, we need to get to the bottom of why it's working, but as a parent who is just trying to keep her kid alive, I don't really care. I mean, we're in the population where, we just didn't have time, and I don't really care. And I think, the cart was a little bit before the horse, but we're getting a handle on that, and hopefully, with some rescheduling and some descheduling, we can get the appropriate research accomplished.
When these things, I suppose, come along, there are a lot of questions. There are a lot of people that this is an education campaign, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they don't really know what it is. I mean, especially if you're talking about cannabidiol. I mean, we do in our little circles, but, I mean, out in the world, they don't have any clue about what this is. And that's one of the big, barriers to moving forward, is because a lot of people, cannabidiol, and you say, cannabis, and then they say marijuana, and you almost don't want to say that because what's going to come with that is all of the propaganda and all of the misinformation.
All the hate messaging,
that they've had prior. And so it's one of those things where I say it's really perception, it's not deception. You don't really hear me use the word marijuana very much just because of all of the baggage that comes with it. I'd rather set a whole new tone for them and talk about it as cannabidiol or cannabis or whatever. And so, it's definitely an education campaign. And I will say the vast majority get it. I think polls are showing that. I think the legislative trend has showed that. I think all of these conservative politicians getting behind this for our kids, it's showing that, we can educate and people can get over it. They really can.
But I mean, even amongst the educated ones, I think a lot of people, you brought this subject up earlier about the states that just have strict CBD only type laws or low THC laws.
Right.
But our guest, we had a guest on last week who I'm sure you're familiar with from Nashville, who moved out to Colorado. And he was saying that, it isn't just CBD. And he objected to the CBD only laws because it's THCA and these other cannabinoids that are present in the plant as a whole that tend to be more effective.
I think I could not agree more. Here's my thinking on that, because I have been involved since Utah, the very first state that passed. And I'm glad you corrected yourself. There's no such thing as CBD only. It's a high CBD and obviously a limited THC, and every state looks different. Sometimes it's 0.3, sometimes it's 1%. Georgia was 5%. So basically, here's the thing. We're going to villainize legislation that would help some in the hopes of legislation that will help many, but will take a very, very long time to get accomplished. And so I think that we've only seen the trend go one way. In Colorado, for example, there was medical cannabis, and then there was recreational, obviously expanded access. You see states going back and changing their percentages. Utah is working on that right now. And so it's one of those things where, you've never seen it go the other way. So I think getting something, pushing to the point where it's still a yes, just to get something on the books, I think is really incredibly important. But I also understand where people are coming from. I think those are the next steps. That, yes, you might need THC. Yes, you might need THCA. And I fully support that. I am absolutely 100% behind that. But you have to get a yes. You have to get
it on the book. You have to get it on the books first, and then it's baby steps, right?
That is definitely, that's where we're at. And so, when something gets passed, even though it's limited, I still count that as a success. And what I really wish we would all do is work together towards that effort and then go back and expand as many times as we need to. Go back and add another qualifying condition. Go back and continue to help more and more. But what I can't understand is people who would rather help absolutely no one right now. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It does. It seems to be a losing argument, logically.
Right. And that's one of the things where I just wish that we were all, we could all just come together and make it happen. It would just be so much more powerful that way. And it's been a really great thing to see, and things will only continue to improve. And yes, I am a firm believer federal legislation is going to turn our way, and then it's going to be even better.
We just got a few minutes left in this segment, and then we got to move along. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain what the Realm of Caring is. So if somebody calls the Realm of Caring, how are you there to help people?
Yep. So our phone number is 719-347-5400, and we're open pretty much 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and we have a team of care specialists that can answer questions, walk through our website where there's a lot of educational information. You could also email us info@therock.us, THEROC.us. And I really just feel like, we're a hub of information for people who are seeking cannabinoid therapy for whatever it might be, for whether it's epilepsy or their MS or their pain. If they're looking at cannabinoid for their condition, we would love to be able to get connected with them. And then we do several things. So like I mentioned, we do conduct research. We've actually been through the IRB process, the Institutional Review Board process. And so we're collecting data first on epilepsy. The next registry will be on just a general symptom relief. So that will be excellent. And what we're hoping to do is just be able to have thousands of people where we can pull this data and take from that everything from dosing information to side effects to interaction. And then we also obviously educate. We have a provider network where we would educate your physician as well if they would want to consult with our nurse practitioner. We are available to talk with them about mechanism of action, potential drug-drug interactions, dosing information, that sort of thing. And then the advocacy piece, which sometimes could look very small, and sometimes it can be very big, like a state passing or, a federal piece of legislation. Sometimes it's small. A family will say, hey, you know what, my child got sent home from school they had a patch on, and, and we'll go into action and advocate on their behalf. So that looks quite different. Everything that we do is free. So we are managed we're paid for by small individuals and companies who believe in what we're doing. And, that's pretty much us in a nutshell.
Can you give the number again? Because I'd like for people to be able to give back to you. If people want to help you, they can reach you at the same main number?
Yes, 719-347-5400. And then our website is theroc.us.
That's the R-O-T-H-E-R-O...
Sorry, Steve.
That's okay. THEROC.us. Heather Jackson from the Realm of Caring, thank you for joining us this hour.
Thanks, Steve.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Each week, Pot Pitch takes a look at different medical or legal pot business as they attempt to seek investment capital and partners in order to take their business to the next level. What do investors like?
And which entrepreneurs are shown the door?
Real venture capitalists, smart entrepreneurs, and exciting business models in a brand new industry, cannabis. Pot Pitch. Find out what this new marijuana industry will look like and who its players will be. Real deals, real people, real decisions. Pot Pitch at potpitch.com and featured on the Full Melt Radio Show.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
It started with Weed 1.
Some have called it a watershed moment.
Then came Weed 2.
It's absurd that we would have to do this to get medicine.
Now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is at it again, and he's reaching higher than ever with Weed 3.
I never thought I would be smoking weed in the hospital.
The movement behind it.
We demand this plant go through the process of the FDA.
The radical research.
I have to say I'm kind of stunned.
Weed 3, the marijuana revolution.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
They're parasites. They've got no contribution to this society. They're preying on our community and our kids. And it's going to end badly.
We've got exactly $100,000 in cash in the back of this car. I bet there's guys right there in that prison for doing just what we're about to do.
I want the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to be a household name.
This is us pioneering a new industry.
He's going after every resort town in Colorado. His plan is brilliant.
This is a big boy operation now.
We are not the Amsterdam of the Rockies. We're Breckenridge.
Absolutely unbelievable to us that this has happened so quickly.
That's when the town erupted.
All hell can break loose.
I think we have an image to protect.
The powerful elite has definitely put the pressure on.
Everyone is playing everyone.
They're going to have a target painted on their back.
That is a real threat.
There's $2 billion to be had next year. I plan to take more than my fair share.
High Profits, Sunday night at 10 Eastern on CNN. It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Hey, so you know what I got to do is I got to get a hold of Brian and Caitlin out at the BCC. Now that it's getting towards the end of their series, I think they've only got 3 episodes left in the series High Profits on CNN. They couldn't talk too much before the program came on the air about how the year went. And so I asked them while they were on the program if there would be, maybe we could get back in touch with them as the series progressed and do like an update. We should do that. I don't know if we'll be able to do that tomorrow or not. Chances are it might take a minute to pin them down. But we'll try to do that this week. As a program note, on tomorrow's program, Ngaio Belum, as we explore the comedy of cannabis. 420 Funny. I think it's going to be a good time. Look, it's going to be casual. Ngaio is a stand-up comedian. He seems to wrap his routine around marijuana in general. Ngaio is a consumer of cannabis. He is a stand-up in the L.A. area. And, I think we want to do this as a feature. I'm hoping to do this maybe once a month. For the time being, we've got a couple, 3 comedians lined up in the next 2-3 weeks. And then once we get you introduced to them, I think it would be fun to maybe kind of rotate through them. And ultimately, my goal here, keeping fingers crossed, fingers and toes. All right, I can't cross that one. Ultimately, the goal here is the toe's hard to cross. The goal here is to perhaps, I don't know, if you hearken back to, do you remember the days of, because I don't think they're doing it anymore, but there was the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. It was basically, redneck white guys talking about redneck white guy stuff. And so the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, was a huge success. It was, Jeff Foxworthy and Ron White and Larry the Cable Guy. Those guys are funny. And so what I thought it would be funny to do is in following in those footsteps, because that was really popular. It was a beautiful idea. Niche comedy going around the country. I think it's a successful venue. If we could get Ngaio and some of these other comedians that do 420 comedy, 420 funny, have the 420 funny tour. I think it would be hilarious. I don't know if it's even possible. These guys probably all have different schedules. Who knows? Who knows what if they'd have to cancel a date or something to come on and go around the country and tour together. But I think it would be tremendously funny, and probably if there was a time for it, it would be now. So we'll get the chance to meet one of our first 420 funny comedians, Ngaio Belum. Check him out on YouTube if you get a chance. Ngaio is Ngaio. Ngaio. Belum is Bealum. Ngaio Belum. Look him up and check out the YouTube stuff. There's a lot of YouTube videos of him doing stand-up. Some of them are, rather hilarious. Others of them I haven't seen yet, so I can't rate them. But I'm sure we'll get a chance to rate him tomorrow as he comes on the program. Ngaio Belum, stand-up comedian. 420 Funny tomorrow, Wednesday. So we're going to do that. That'll be 420 Funny Wednesdays, I guess, for the coming month. If I can get them all booked in a row. Got this week going. We got next week going. Working on the third week. If I can get a fourth week, that would be a month of comedy. One comedian a week, and then maybe we can rotate through them and follow, I think it would be kind of, so we'll just be casual. We'll have them on the program. We'll talk about, some stuff that's happening in the news or stuff that's going on in their area. I think it'll be fun. Just simple casual. No, he's not going to do a stand-up. In fact, and Gaio said, "Hey, do you want me to do, my routine? Like a 5 or 7 minute." I'm like, to me, it seems that it's a little bit weird, and it's got to be for. I can't even believe he asked me that question because it seems like to me, I know this just from doing radio. See, there's an audience in radio, obviously, but you don't get to meter them right away. You don't get any response from them. If I say something, it's rhetorically to you, and then you make up your own mind about it. And then if you really are spitfire out about it, you can call up on the toll-free line, the 844-420-TALK number, and spout back about it. I mean, that's how that works. But if you're doing, I can't think, I can't get any response from you. I can't see a bunch of people going boo or a bunch of people cheering a subject. There's no way to meter it, obviously. But if you're doing stand-up, if you're, in front of a group of, even a small house of people, or even a large group, it doesn't matter. You've got a live audience. And so when they tell a joke, there's some feedback. And, you kind of play off that feedback to do the routine, the stand-up routine that they do. And I guess it's kind of technical from the comedy standpoint, but it seems rather unusual to me, absent the audience response, doing a stand-up routine, because it would be strange not hearing the audience laugh. You'd hear me giggle about it. I'd chuckle out a couple of notes. I'm sure I'd be laughing. But it's just weird if there's one guy laughing to the other guy telling jokes, especially in the format that they would tell it on stage. So I said, you don't have to do the whole routine, but it would be funny. I'm sure he's got, jokes up his sleeve. It seemed like I seen a couple of the jokes they reused a couple of other times. And they're his jokes, but I've seen him reuse them a couple of other places. So I'm sure he's familiar with the stuff that we're not, and we'll be laughing. That's the idea there. There was something else. I wanted to tell you about something else that I was storming on and doing. So maybe I'll explain to you this Pop Pitch thing. This is another program note. So you've been hearing the Pop Pitch commercials during the program. So you can check out the ideal at poppitch.com. The whole idea is it's kind of a Shark Tanky kind of thing, but it's for the cannabis community. So it's, if you're a person with a cannabis-related business, it could be a support industry. It could be actually in the industry, anything cannabis related. And you're trying to build your business or partner with other people who have answers that you don't, or this kind of thing. You pitch your idea to an investor, and then the investor would mull it over and decide whether or not your idea, based on what you presented, was something they could add value to and perhaps invest in. If you talk them into it, it's still in the formative process. But if you're a business and you want to pitch your business to the investor, go to potpitch.com and check it out. See what you think. If you have to, email me back here. You can find us. thefullmelt@gmail.com. Email us at thefullmelt@gmail.com. And there might be a place on the Pop Pitch, but I'm not sure. If you've got a business you want to pitch, and conversely, I suppose if you're a guy with money, if you're a capital investor guy, if you got some cash floating around and you want to invest in this emerging market, that would be totally up to you. I can't give you any investment advice. But if that's the kind of thing that you would like to do, is check out this kind of thing. Perhaps there might be a place for you there at the poppitch.com. Poppitch.com. Check it out over there on the internet. What else is going on? I don't know. It seems like we just got a couple of minutes. It wouldn't matter much anyways. It seems like there's a lot of stuff happening, news-wise. We'll probably talk some more about that coming up tomorrow as we get into, but it'll probably have a comedic flair to it, admittedly. There has to be, I suppose, here's the way I look at this. I've been trying to do that comedy thing for a long time, for 5 years now. I saw the brilliance of tying comedy with cannabis together because they seem like natural brothers, don't they? Same thing with cannabis and food. It seems like those two things go together kind of naturally. Why fight gravity? Let's just let gravity do the work for you. So it amazes me, number one, that we haven't managed to find a food company that has seen the brilliance in that idea and, jump on board as a major advertiser. If I was a pizza guy, I'd be advertising on every cannabis-related anything. If I was selling pizzas, that's what I do. It just seems to go together. Same thing with comedy. So I'm glad we'll have, 420 Funny Wednesdays with Ngaio Belum coming on tomorrow. I'm out of here. I got nothing left. You squeezed me dry. Heather Jackson, call me.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.